In San Francisco, America, there is an island in the middle of the sea which is known as Alcatraz Island. This island was sometimes used as a lighthouse, sometimes as a fort, and sometimes as a military prison. But in 1934 it was converted into a federal prison. This island, which is spread over 22 acres, is built on a very large stone in the sea. This is why it is also called the Rock. From 1934 to 1963, more than one murderous prisoner was kept in this jail, in which dangerous criminals such as Al Capone, George Kelly, Alvin Karpis, and Robert Stroud were included. This jail was prepared in such a way to keep the top criminals of the country in prison that it was almost impossible for any prisoner to escape from here. On the one hand, this island is surrounded by cold waters and stormy waves of the Pacific Ocean. On the other hand, it was also very strong from the inside. There is a strict prison barricade, high-tech security, 2 fences of 12-foot barbed wires all around, 24-hour guards on watchtowers, and 12 times a day check of prisoners. Such strict rules had made this jail even stronger. Due to such strict supervision and strictness, this jail was made a hell for the prisoners. Those prisoners who tried to escape from here were either caught or killed. Due to this ultimate maximum security of Alcatraz, it was ranked as the inescapable prison. It is a jail from where one could not escape. But on the morning of June 12, 1962, he brought such news with him which ruined the quality and security of this jail. The world's strongest jail had been broken. Not 1, but 3 prisoners had escaped from under the nose of the police in the dark of the night. Those who were left behind were their fake puppets who were smiling at the failure of the police. The jail was searched all around the sea, but the police could not even find the shadow of the escaped prisoners. Not only the police, but also the top-level agencies of the United States such as the FBI and the US Marshal put a lot of effort in finding them. But neither the dead bodies of the escaped prisoners, nor could they be caught alive. Today, more than 60 years later, this prison break is such a mystery that its layers have not been solved yet. But brothers John and Clarence England and Frank Morris disappeared into the night and have never been found. The escape triggered the greatest manhunt in San Francisco's history as agents of the FBI, Coast Guardsmen, Highway Patrol, sheriff's deputies, and local police joined in the search. They found 3 decoyed heads lying in the beds. The family believes this is a photo of John and Clarence England, taken at their home in Brazil in 1975. There are 4 main characters in the story of the strongest prison break in history. The first person is Allen West, who has been arrested more than 20 times for theft and has gone behind the bars of the jail. Due to his repeated crimes and attempts to escape from jail, he was transferred to Alcatraz jail in 1957. The second main character of the story is such a cunning criminal whose IQ was 133. His name is Frank Morris, who was left by his parents at the age of 11, and he jumped into the world of crime at the age of 13. He had spent half of his youth in jail, but his crimes did not stop. Once when he did a big bank robbery, he was taken prisoner in the Louisiana State Penitentiary. But this cunning criminal also escaped from there like many jails, after which he was sent to Alcatraz, the most dangerous jail in America, in January 1960 to catch him and sentence him to 14 years. The third and fourth characters of this story are John England and Clarence England. These were the 2 brothers who had started looting, fraud, and dacoit at the age of 14. Apart from theft, some other work that these 2 brothers knew properly was swimming, and both the brothers were very good at swimming. But their habit of theft sent them to Alcatraz, in the crime of looting the Columbia Savings Bank, where John England was sentenced to 15 years at the end of 1960. Clarence England was taken prisoner in Alcatraz prison for 10 years at the beginning of 1961. Allen West, Frank Morris, and England, brothers. These 4 prisoners had 2 things in common. The first is that all 4 were thieves. And the second is that before coming to Alcatraz, they had tried to escape from the jails in which they were imprisoned. That's why they were brought to Alcatraz's strong jail, from where no one could escape. But neither the police officers nor the people who called Alcatraz an inescapable prison may not have even dreamed that these prisoners would do what no one had done before, and Alcatraz's glory and status will always be disgraced forever. Because of the same nature, the 4 prisoners did not take time to become friends at all, whether it is eating in the mess, taking part in an activity, or doing some work of duty. Whenever they were out of their cell, they were close to each other and talking about running away from Alcatraz while avoiding everyone's eyes. In a way, these 4 had a perfect combination, where Frank Morris was quite intelligent and could make a powerful plan to run away. Allen West could arrange necessary things to run away because he had been there for many years. He had learned a lot about the structure of the jail and its loopholes while living here for 3 to 4 years. In addition, John and Clarence Anglin, being experts in swimming, could think of a way to cross the sea around Alcatraz. But the problem in front of them was that they were trapped in different blocks to carry out their plan. Everyone had to be near each other's cell in the same block. In addition, surprisingly, they also found out that Block B is such a place that the ventilation shaft above it is not sealed with concrete. That is, if there was a chance to run, it could only be in Block B. Therefore, while acting very cleverly, they somehow convinced the jail staff and the 4 prisoners shifted to the cells around each other in Block B. Their first target was achieved, and now the 4 started making plans to run away from there. The ventilation shaft of the Block B cell was weak and was not sealed with concrete. The prisoners could reach there and climb on the roof and then run away from there. But the biggest question was to reach the ventilation shaft. After a lot of thinking, they found a good way to get the ventilation crate out of their cell. Actually, every prisoner's cell had a metal net for ventilation behind which there was a closed utility corridor where there were a lot of pipelines and heating ducts. Very few people used to come and go there. This closed corridor behind the cells was unguarded for this reason. In addition, this could lead to the ventilation shaft of the roof. They made a plan that if somehow the ventilation grates of the cell were broken and the area around it was dug and the hole was enlarged, then the corridor could be exited from the cell through it. After this plan, the 4 prisoners started digging a 8-inch thick strong wall of concrete around the ventilation grate. They used the spoons of the metal stolen from the kitchen for this. In addition, to speed up the process, they also prepared a drill with a vacuum cleaner motor. The work of digging the wall was done during the music hour, when music was played in loud voice for all the prisoners in the jail for an hour every day. In this way, no one was aware of their work. In addition, this work was done in turn. One of them would keep an eye on the guards and the rest would continue their work. In this way, digging was done in the absence of everyone's eyes. After days, weeks, and months, the 4 finally made such a big hole around ventilation grate under the sink in their own cell that they could easily get out of there in the closed corridor. To keep the holes hidden, they used music instruments, some large-sized objects, and a fake ventilation grate made of cardboard so that everything looked normal inside the cell when viewed from the outside. In a way, the tunnel was ready for them to leave, and now if they wanted, they could reach the ventilation shaft from there at any night and open it and go to the roof. And from there they could escape from the guards' eyes. But even if they had come out of Alcatraz like this, there was still a dangerous sea in front of them, due to which all the escapes were unsuccessful. So the 4 of them decided to make necessary things like life jackets, boats, and paddles to cross the cold water and stormy waves. To make all this, they decided to make a secret workshop where they could hide and finish their work. But the difficulty in doing this was that if they had been out of their cell, they would not have seen them in their cell, and the guards who were harassing them would have known the plan to escape. So to trick the guards, they made dummy heads from plaster, toilet paper, soap and toothpaste, and they were painted on them to make them more realistic, and hair was put on the head, which Clarence Anglin had collected while cutting the hair of prisoners from the jail salon. Now whenever he was out of the cell at night and had to work in his secret workshop in the utility corridor, he would put his puppet on the bed and cover it up to the neck, in which the clothes were filled in the shape of the body. When the guards saw from outside the cell, they felt that the prisoners were sleeping. In this way, the 4 clever prisoners and started making many necessary things in their secret workshop. They stole a lot of things from many places, including kitchen, laundry, and workshop, and prepared many important things. They had prepared life jackets and rubber rafts, whose idea they got from a magazine present with them. To inflate this rubber raft, Frank Morris used a musical instrument called corsentina, which he often played. In addition to this, with pieces of wood and stolen screws, where so much was done in the preparation of many months, he also started loosening the ventilation shaft from where he had to run away in this way. His plan to run away was almost completed. Now he just had to see whether his plan was successful or failed like others. Like every day, the day of the 11th of June 1962 was also a common day for Alcatraz. After dusk, all the prisoners of the jail ate in the mess and came back to their own cell. After a while, like a daily routine, the guards peeped into everyone's cells and counted, and at about 9:30 at night, the lights of the jail were turned off for the prisoners to sleep. Everything was normal so far. But what was going to happen next was going to change the history of Alcatraz forever. This night was going to ruin Alcatraz. Immediately after the lights were turned off, the leader of this plan, Frank Morris, told his colleagues that he would have to run away from there by completing his plan tonight. After that, he removed the ventilation net in his own cell and started removing the concrete cement around it, which he often used to apply after coming in. Frank Morris, John Anglin, and Clarence Anglin crossed the vent in a short time and came out of the cell and came to the back corridor. But Alan West was still trying to remove the cement near the vent, which had hardened. Giving him time, the rest started collecting all the stuff from their secret place. Everything was ready, but West was still unable to open the hole in the wall, with the help of which he could come out. His colleagues tried to help him from the back side of the wall, but as if today's fate was not with his friend, Alan West. When a lot of time passed, the 3 of them decided to leave their companion behind and moved on. The 3 prisoners picked up all the stuff and took the help of the pipelines in it to reach the 30-foot-high cell house roof and open the ventilation shaft, and came to the 3 roofs. At this time, there was silence all around. Apart from the lights of the jail and tower, there was darkness. They carefully crossed the 100-feet roof without making any noise and then came to the ground from here. While avoiding the eyes of the guards on the watchtower, they carefully crossed the 2 fences of the 12-foot-high cantile stars around Alcatraz and came to one of the edges of the water, which was out of the range of the tower lights. After this, they removed the raft prepared from the raincoat from the musical instrument, Corsentina, and put it in the water. They wore life jackets and ran away from the world's strongest 10-foot jail, Alcatraz. The whole Alcatraz was still asleep. The guards who were guarding there did not even notice that 3 prisoners had escaped, but there was a man in the middle whose chest was going through. That man was Allen West, who had succeeded in getting out of his cell after many hours of effort. But when he came to the roof and he looked around, he realized that it was too late and his companions had run away from Alcatraz without him. He returned to his cell with The morning of June 12, 1962 brought such news for Alcatraz that shook the whole of America. In the morning, when the jail staff gathered everyone for counting, 3 prisoners were less in number. The guards went to their cell. They saw from the outside that all 3 were sleeping in the blanket when there was no action even after calling them. The cell was opened. As soon as the guard entered, he shouted and hit the head of the prisoner. His head fell down and his nose broke. These were the same puppets that all 3 had left on their own beds. After that, when the blanket was removed and looked at it, the clothes and towels were stuck in it. When the guards went to the vent and inspected it carefully, they saw that there was a big hole in the wall that opened towards the closed utility corridor. The guards entered it, where they also got a secret workshop of the prisoners at a distance, and they also saw the footprints of the prisoners running on the roof after leaving the ventilation shaft above. The guards had understood the whole matter, that 3 prisoners had escaped by breaking the door. The whole Alcatraz was locked down, and they were found in every corner of the jail. In addition to the police, the FBI and the army also reached there and the search operation began. The land and sea around Alcatraz were ravaged, but the escaped prisoners could not be. Meanwhile, Allen West was also investigated in Alcatraz, which was part of this escape plan from the beginning, and the guards also got a dummy head like the Allen West. Did not take a little time to confess, and he kept all his plans open. According to him, after leaving Alcatraz, his plan was to reach Angel Island near the raft, and then he had to cross the Raccoon Strait and go to Marine County. After that, he had to steal a car and some clothes, and then he had to go ahead. The FBI thought for once that Allen West was lying, but when the investigation was done around Angel Island, it was proved that whatever West had told was all true. 2 days after the escape, on June 14th, a paddle was retrieved from the south coast of Angel Island, which was made of those prisoners on the same day. A small rubber packet was also found in which Anglin's brothers' family photographs and letters were found. A few days later, the investigators found a piece of their boat on the bank of Golden Gate Bridge and an inflated life jacket 50 yards away from Alcatraz, which belonged to one of the 3 Coast Guards. Police, FBI, and Army got all this, but not a single escaped prisoner was found. Keeping in mind the bad weather of the night and the cold water and stormy waves, it was concluded that all 3 escaped from Alcatraz, but they could not cross the fast waves of the sea. Their boat must have sunk in the middle, which must have killed them, and their luggage must have been scattered like this. In addition, even if they had escaped from the water, they did not have enough money to stay, eat, and travel. Also, it was difficult to steal for them after running away because their name warrants were printed everywhere in Alcatraz, which is why they were caught immediately for doing anything apart from this. One thing that reinforced the news of their death was that about a month after the escape, on July 17, 1962, a Norwegian cargo ship was passing through the Sea of San Francisco. At that time, his crew saw a corpse floating 20 miles northwest of Golden Gate Bridge, who was wearing prisoner clothes. However, his information crew could not give it to the FBI that day, so it could not be checked there immediately. The news of this whole thing took the FBI after a while, and then no dead bodies could be recovered by searching. Keeping all these things in mind, investigators consider them dead, but there are some things that give a lot of strength to the possibility of 3 prisoners. Although the water around Alcatraz is full of cold and stormy waves, it is not that it could never be crossed by swimming. In fact, a few months after, another prisoner named John Paul Scott escaped from, and he swam in cold water without any boat or life jacket and reached the shore of San Francisco, although he was later caught in a weak condition. But when a common prisoner could do this operation without any preparation, then it was not a big deal for master swimmers to reach the shore. Both Anglin brothers and clever Frank Morris apart from this, it takes a few days to swim in the water and reach the shore. So if they had really drowned and died, their dead body would have come to some or the other shore, whereas the dead body of the 3 prisoners could never be found. Apart from all these facts, there were some claims that confirmed the survival of the 3 escaped prisoners. In 1962, that year, when the 3 prisoners had escaped from Alcatraz, the Anglin brothers' family began to receive postcards from unknown names on Christmas year and the Anglin's mother on Mother's Day. This series of postcards and bouquets continued until the death of Anglin's mother, and after this, when his mother's funeral took place, Two mysterious ladies were seen in it, who were very tall, had a lot of makeup, and had never been seen before. A few years later, when Anglin's father died, two long-bearded strangers were seen at his funeral. Those who attended the funeral, they stayed there for a while, stood in the corner and cried, and disappeared from there after the family later claimed that it was John and Clarence Anglin who were somehow connected to the FBI. Even the heavy FBI team could not catch him at his mother's funeral when both the brothers were there in the guise of women. In addition, there is another claim about their survival. Actually, when Anglin brothers' elder brother Robert Anglin died, he told his family before he died that no one should worry about John and Clarence. Both are safe, and he has been in touch with them since 1963, where Anglin's family claims give strength to both of them to stay alive. There is also a claim of Frank Morris's cousin, brother Bud White, according to which Frank Morris came to meet him in San Diego Park. His daughter also supported him, who was there with him that day. There were a lot of such claims in front of the FBI, which confirmed the fact that the three of them were alive. But the FBI did not find anything. It took about 16 years too, but when the FBI could not find any clue about the three of them, the FBI closed the case in 1979 and handed over all the responsibilities to the U.S. Marshal Services. But what could the U.S. Marshal do in this mysterious case? The investigation continued but neither did the three prisoners know anything, nor could they find any solid evidence related to them. This investigation came to life when in 2003, U.S. Marshal Michael Dyke took charge of the FBI, and he started rummaging through all the files related to this case, which had been covered in dust for years. Dyke also checked the Marin County police station, where he got a lot of information the night the three prisoners fled. He got a police report that night, which had a complaint of car theft. Surprisingly, the eyewitness had seen this car being stolen by three people. It was a blue Chevy car, which was seen in Stockton, California, 100 miles away from the Marin County the next day after the theft. The speed of this car was so fast that it was crashing into other vehicles on the road. A person had also filed a complaint report at the Stockton police station. If we add all these things to the confession given by Alan West, then the fugitive prisoners did everything according to the plan, and they fled to their destination after stealing a car from. But these reports of 1962 were being reviewed after 40 years, due to which Michael Dyke could not get any help in finding them. While the investigators were not getting any clue, the claims of the three being seen alive could never end. This continued for many years and decades. And the year 2015 came. This year there is a new summary of this case, in which it is also known where those prisoners disappeared after. In fact, in 2015, John and Clarence Anglin's family told a retired U.S. Marshal investigator that in 1992, a Fred Brizzi brought him a photograph that was taken in Brazil in 1975. That photo was given to the retired investigator, in which two people were wearing glasses. His claim was that the person seen in the photo was none other than John and Clarence. 5 years later, in 2020, when facial recognition of this photo was done using AI, it was confirmed that John Anglin and Clarence Anglin were in the photo. But this photo was from 1975, so no help could be found after this. Another story comes out in 2016, when a man confesses to his involvement in the escape of whose names were Frank Morris, John Anglin, and Clarence Anglin. He said that night, he and his companion were waiting for some from Alcatraz in a white boat at a distance. The plan was already made, and when the three of them reached there, they were pulled up from the boat and boarded the boat. After this, they ran away from there, in the dark of the night. In fact, a policeman named Robert Kecky, who was associated with this, gave the FBI just a few days after the escape. He said that when he was on duty that night, he saw a white boat at a distance from Alcatraz in his car near Marina Green. There was no light in the dark of the night, and the three of them ran away with the help of the white boat. But the FBI did not pay much attention to its important point and did not investigate. The mystery of the three prisoners escaping from Alcatraz took a new turn in 2018. The San Francisco police made a statement that shocked everyone even more. The police said that they received a letter in 2013 in which the writer's name was John Anglin. The letter said that the three prisoners had escaped from Alcatraz on June 2, 1962, and were hiding in different places from the FBI's eyes. It was written in the letter that Frank Morris died in 2008 and Clarence Anglin died in 2011, and he himself was suffering from cancer while living in a secret place for 83 years. He appealed to the authorities that if his medical treatment is promised, he is ready to surrender. This letter put the investigators in great trouble. The letter was evaluated by John's fingerprints, DNA, and handwriting, but the authorities found the results inconclusive on June 11, 1962. The three prisoners could not find out where they had escaped. The question of where they went, whether they were alive or not, and if they died, why did they not find their bodies, has not been answered by American agencies. This case is unsolved and open. Even after more than this case will remain open until all three prisoners are caught. Their dead bodies are not found, or they are not 99 years old. This is a mysterious case that has not only put the FBI and the U.S. Marshals Service to sleep, but also became a big reason to lock Alcatraz jail. Only 9 months after the escape on March 21, 1963, Alcatraz prison was closed for good. Alcatraz, which once kept murderers in captivity, is now just a tourist place.